Venezuela right now is a big fat mess.
The EU stands with the Venezuelan people in this critical hour.
We call on countries of the world to support the interim president, Juan Guaidó.
Western leaders weigh in on Venezuela, taking sides between the two people fighting for leadership in the Latin American country, its current president Nicolás Maduro and Juan Guaidó, who declared himself interim president in January. Media outlets around the world churn out multiple stories a day on Venezuela. Issues facing the Venezuelan people, be it economic turmoil, food insecurity, and corruption, are not unique when we take a broader look at insecure nations around the world. So why does the West seem to have such vested interest there compared to other places? While the country has faced years of uncertainty, including hyperinflation and sporadic violence, this particular conflict is not only new, it's relatively near, especially compared to others throughout Africa or the Middle East.
Venezuela has been kind of on a back burner, but suddenly it's come to a front burner. So people are grabbing onto that. The news media is grabbing onto that.
The now is newsworthy, and so is what's near. This brings us to the next probable reason the West has a stake in Venezuela: migration. Millions of Venezuelans fled to nearby countries. 8 out of every 10 migrants stay in Latin America and the Caribbean, with most of the remainder moving to Southern Europe and North America. Places like Canada have opened its doors to immigrants, but it's a different story in the US, especially for immigrants coming from Latin America.
Where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down.
The US has been paying attention to all of the migrants leaving Venezuela because those movements can have a direct impact on America.
They have health conditions due to the lack of treatments here, the lack of medical provisions to do some follow-ups to their diseases or get even vaccines. In average, Venezuelans have lost 11 kilos of weight due to the economic crisis. It's not that you have always been undernourished, it's that you were healthy, and this government and this situation made you sick.
Some are even resorting to prostitution.
There are regular people that went even to universities or had a nice job before, and they are willing to do anything to get a way of living abroad. They are in a foreign country, they don't have families or a support system.
Trump and other American politicians have been backing Guaidó, recognizing him as the leader of the country. Guaidó is trying to topple Maduro, the socialist president who continued many of the economic policies of the late former president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, which caused many of the problems Venezuelans are fleeing.
I have a message for every official who is helping to keep Maduro in place. The eyes of the entire world are upon you. Today, every day.
The politicians here in the United States use this as a way to paint us in a good picture of dealing with the Latin country, trying to help establish democracy in Venezuela, while at the same time we're doing the opposite of acting like a democratic country in terms of keeping political people seeking political asylum out from crossing our borders.
So here's another reason the West might be interested: oil. Venezuela is home to the largest oil reserves in the world, more than 300 billion barrels. But oil is valuable only when you can get access to it. And Venezuela's big problem is that production has been falling. As of May 2018, Venezuela's crude oil production was 1.4 million barrels per day. To put this in perspective, the world's second largest holder of proven oil reserves, Saudi Arabia, has a daily crude oil production capacity of roughly 12 times that of Venezuela. This is Venezuela's most valuable resource, yet there is a falling number of active rigs. There is a lot of blame to go around for the failure of this oil-rich nation: mismanagement, mispayments to oil service companies, among other reasons. On top of this, the West has had a direct impact in the form of sanctions on the state-owned oil company. It is leveraging the country's oil to try to force Maduro out of power. So the West has many reasons to pay attention to Venezuela. It may have even more if the conflict forces more people out of a collapsing country.